Perfect.
There you
Thank you,
go.
sir. I appreciate it.
Okay. Now I have to stay here. I like to move.
We can hear you.
And you already had the R.C.I.A class before. But you know, as many times as we had taught the R.C.I.A class, people still don't know, don't have a clue about R.C.I.A. And still making the same mistakes over and over. But we decided that this class is going to be the first class ever of deacons that will never call my office for an R.C.I.A question. Because you guys have received so much R.C.I.A classes that you are going to be experts. No. How many of you are actually involved with R.C.I.A in your parishes already? Okay, so we have some experts in here. All right, good. How many of you are planning to get involved with R.C.I.A when you become a deacon? You should have all your hands up, because I can guarantee you that the day you become a deacon, your priest is going to come and says, guess what? R.C.I.A now is yours. Okay? And you will become the R.C.I.A person for your parish. Well, we are not going to actually have a whole class of R.C.I.A tonight. I'm just going to go over very quickly some special facts and information that you already know, just to refresh your mind. And then my second part of this evening is going to be actually introducing you to some real issues. Actually, all the issues I'm going to share with you tonight happened just 3 months ago, before the Easter Vigil. And I don't have the solutions, because I'm going to be asking you as to think as a deacon and tell us how you will answer that issue with the knowledge that you have already about R.C.I.A and what we are going to cover tonight. Okay? Fair?
Yeah.
All right. So, what is the R.C.I.A? Without looking on your papers, what is the R.C.I.A? Come on. The Right of Christian Initiation for Adults. I wasn't looking for to tell me that. I was asking, what is the R.C.I.A? I know that's the Right of Christian Initiations of Adults. Well, somebody please tell us, what is the R.C.I.A?
Process that brings people into the adults into the church.
What kind of people?
People, unbaptized.
Unbaptized people. People that are looking for something in their lives. People that are looking to find God, perhaps. People that are searching for something. Okay, it's the process. I don't want to hear the word program. Is the process that the Catholic Church had put together to help people come into our faith. And I don't know how many of you know, but it's a relatively new process, because this process started, anybody know when? In the United States?
1990?
Well, it was close.
1988.
1988. That's when it started in United States officially. Okay? So it's about what? 40 years old or so. Not even 40 years old. So it's a process that we use to bring Catholics into our faith. And as a process, is how people learn about the teachings of the Catholic faith, is how the people learn about how to develop a relationship with Jesus Christ and discover God in their own lives. You know, for me, as a person that's been involved with R.C.I.A now for over 20 years, this statement right here is what is the most important one for me. To develop a relationship with Jesus, missing an S there, Christ. Okay? Develop a relationship with Jesus Christ. When we involve on the process of the R.C.I.A, our expectations are that people are going to come and they're going to learn the 10 Commandments, the 7 Sacraments, all the saints of the church, all the prayers, how to do a good rosary, We want them to become a perfect Catholic in a year. And how many of us are perfect Catholics? None. Being a Catholic is a journey of a lifetime. But for some reason, the R.C.I.A. instructors want to get these students to become perfect. And they forgot that that is not the meaning of this process. The meaning of this process is to what? To develop a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's all that we want. You can grab a book and read the 10 Commandments and recite the sacraments. We have the Bible. You don't need to memorize the scriptures. You don't need to memorize anything. That's what we have books for. Okay? But a relationship that you cannot learn through books. That's something that you have to develop through your faith, through your belief, through your desire. And that's what the R.C.I.A. should be all about. So when you start working with R.C.I.A. in your parishes, or you're already working on R.C.I.A., please get that in your minds. The idea of this process is to help people develop a love for Jesus Christ. And it's a process that is gradual. It is a process that takes time, and it's not my time, it's the people's time. Oh, no, I need to get you ready. I need to get you ready by February for the right election, and then by March for the Easter Vigil. So get on the boat and keep moving. Well, people are not always ready. Okay? And people takes time. There have been many times that I have candidates on my classes that they come one day and says, Deacon, you don't have to say anything. I understand. The doors are always going to be open. When you're ready, you can come back. Some of them, I have never seen them again. I have about 2 or 3 that 1, 2 years later, they come back. We are ready now. We are ready now to commit. Because it is not for me, it's for them. This is a process that's like marriage. We want it to be until when? Until death apart. You know, that's the problem that we had. We had so many people jumping from one church to another because they don't know what they want in their lives. And that's all that they do, jumping from one church to another. We don't want that. We want that when they arrive to the Catholic Church, this is their final destination. And they're going to stay here until death apart. Okay? So that's why the process is gradual. And it is done within the community. The community has to be part of it. We're going to talk a little more about that later. And it's based on what? On the Paschal mystery. The life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's what is based on it. And it's again on people's needs, times, and place. Who attends? Well, Pope Benedict XVI says, being Christians is not a result of an ethical choice or a lofty idea, but encounter with an event, a person which gives life a new horizon and a decisive direction. It's a journey of adults. Again, based on people's needs, times, and place. But the people that attend are 3 different ones. In reality, as somebody mentioned, this process was created only for who? For the unbaptized. That's what this process was created for the unbaptized. But the church says, you know, so what are we going to do with those Catholics? They are baptized, but that was it. Never came to church, didn't complete their initiation sacraments. For one reason or another, they left. And now as an adults, they're seeking God in their lives, and they're coming back to our doors. What we do with them? Or what we do with those, they are non-Catholics, but they are baptized Christians, they are been all their lives in other practices, but they're still Christians because they've been baptized in a valid way that we recognize. What we do with them? So we welcome them to this process too. Okay, and that's why the R.C.I.A has become a process not only for the unbaptized, but it's also been a process for the unbaptized and candidates, baptized Christians or Catholics baptized. Okay, but in reality, the process was based only on the unbaptized, people that had never been baptized previously, and they now want to become a Catholic, and we welcome them and teach them about the Catholic faith. This is a process for adults from the age of 7 and above. Why? Because as canon law says, children at the age of 7 are considered adult, and for that reason, we treat them and we place on this process and treated them as an adults in terms of the learning of the faith. Okay? How long is the process? Somebody had a question?
As long as it takes.
It's as long as it takes. That's the right answer. It's as long as it takes. Again, we are cut off with the idea of, oh, the process is like a school year. We start on August or September, and May is graduation time. So most churches, most parishes goes with the 9-month process, no? And you don't have to raise your hand because I know that your parishes all are basically most in the 9-month process. But in reality, the process was created to, remember what I said earlier, is a Paschal mystery. And not only the Paschal mystery, it is also based on the life of the church, which means the liturgical year of the church. The process should last as a minimum a whole liturgical year, which means a whole year. Okay? When is the right time to start? It's not a right time to start. It starts when people arrive. You know, I ask you, if you are one of those that had a process that begins in September, and somebody arrives at your door in November, what do you tell them? You missed the boat, come back next year in August. You lost them. That's it. You are not going to see that person again. It starts when people arrive at your door. That's when the process starts. But people always say, well, Deacon, we don't have enough catechists. I don't have enough people. If people start arriving one every day, well, how am I going to do this? You just bring them in. Whatever place you are in the process, you just bring them in. And you work with them, and as they are ready, you introduce them to the different periods and rites of the process. Okay? I had a lady, 80 years old. Did I tell you this story before? 80 years old. I think I told you this story. The lady that was at the choir for 16 years. No? Okay, I talked to so many different people.
Jackie said yes.
Oh, it's in the Spanish group.
Tell us again.
80 years old. She was a friend of a Catholic who invited her to come to our church. And this friend, Catholic, was a member of the choir. For 16 years, this woman has been coming to church every Sunday with her friend and sit at the choir. She was the daughter of a minister, a Hawaii evangelical minister, who baptized her on her church. So she's been coming to church for 16 years with her friend. And one day, the choir got up to receive communion like every Sunday. And when her friend come back to the seat, find her friend in tears, sobbing. And she said, what's wrong? What's happening? Are you ill? And she says, I'm crying because you guys every Sunday got up and go and receive Jesus. And I just sitting here watching you guys doing that. and I cannot receive Jesus. For some reason, that day hit her. That was the time for her. So her friend says, well, would like to receive Jesus? Would you like to become a Catholic? Yes, I want to. After Mass, we go and talk to Father. So after Mass, she took her to Father. Father knew her already. She's been coming to church for 16 years. And she says, no problem. I'm going to take you to Deacon Modesto. I was in charge of the R.C.I.A. And she came to me, and this is November. Did I tell her, come back next year on August? You missed the boat already? She was more Catholic than me. Without her knowing it, she was more Catholic than many Catholics that were on that church. Because she was coming to church every single Sunday. And some of the people that were on church that day were not coming every single Sunday. They were coming whatever they feel like. So I put her into the process. Immediately in. She didn't miss one class. My classes were on the second floor. We didn't have an elevator. She didn't care. She, 80 years old, she went up and down the stairs to the classroom. She was the first one to show to class. And we got her fully initiated that Easter Sunday, Easter Vigil on that year. She had cancer. She only lasted 1 more year. Their children at the funeral came to us and told us this was the best year for her ever. The last year of her life. She couldn't stop talking about church, Jesus, and the people in the church. You never know when is the right time and how long it's going to take for a person. Yes, we want to have at least a whole liturgical year, but it's a pastoral decision, and you as a future deacons are going to have to make those decisions together with your pastor. And you probably will have to tell people also, like I have to, you're not ready yet. No, you're jumping too fast. Put the brakes and hold on. Because you are not ready. We're not saying that you are not going to do it. We're just going to say that we're going to postpone it. So there will be times that you will have to do that. Yes.
Almost an opposite situation. I think I've actually heard one, but when you said at the beginning that it's all about a relationship with Christ. So I mean, like, what if somebody went through R.C.I.A. and they had like this incredible relationship with Christ, and then they wouldn't have to stay a whole year, or you just let them. You could probably insert them at any time, right? If they've already went through R.C.I.A. and got an incredible relationship with Christ.
I am a deacon because I went to a R.C.I.A. I was a Catholic, cradle Catholic. I was raised on the Catholic faith. I was an altar server. When I went to college, I found another Jesus. The Jesus that most college students found. No? And it was not until years later that I went to a R.C.I.A. and I got back again because of that R.C.I.A. And got so involved and became a deacon. So there are people that may know a lot about the church, and you don't need to really put you even into the R.C.I.A. process. Especially, remember the category of those Catholic baptized, but not have completed their sacraments? They may not need to go through this process. They may just need to sit down with you for a few hours and go over some things, and they are ready to get confirmed and get First Communion. I have a husband of one of my catechists. This guy's coming to church every Sunday. His wife was a catechist. Their children, very involved in the church, all teenagers, all got confirmation, all the sacraments. He was helping his wife on the catechist in the classes. And one day after class, after Mass, he comes to me and says, Deacon, I need to join the R.C.I.A. You need to join the R.C.I.A. You want to be a catechist for the R.C.I.A.? I said, no, Deacon, I need to join the R.C.I.A. I am not Catholic. You are not Catholic? Your wife's a catechist? You're assisting her in the classes? Your children have been attended this church? They got first communion, they got confirmation? I said, no, I am not. But I am ready now to be a Catholic. Again, another one that he was more Catholic than many Catholics that were in there. Did I put him through the whole process? No. No. So again, those are pastoral decisions that you have to make. That you have to make according to the circumstances. So remember the screen before is that when the time and the needs of the people and what the people are in their life. Yes.
So you had a couple of examples of very good, kind of nice situations to be in. Tell us about difficult ones where somebody has their own mindset. Hey, I have a plan and I need to be baptized this Easter vigil, but you found they're not ready. How do you deal with that?
I tell you better one, which really hurt me, to be honest. A couple close friends of ours, of me and my wife, their daughter got engaged with a non-Catholic guy in February. And then he calls me and he says, Deacon, friend, you know how this going? Could you get my daughter's fiance baptized, first communion and confirmation 2 months from now? No, that doesn't work like that. The guy didn't even want to. It was the in-laws, future in-laws, that were putting the requirement that you want to marry our daughter, you need to become a Catholic in the next 2 months. No, that doesn't work like that. And you will get those situations too, because your friends are going to come to you. Can you do this for me or for my friend here? I had a girl that came over to my office. Grandma brought her. At 19 years old, she's already an adult. Grandma brought her, and then grandma went outside because I told grandma I'm going to talk to her in private. Grandma, you went outside. I was talking to her, and I had one of my teachers. I never interview a person by myself. I always interview every candidate with somebody else present, especially if it's a woman I am at. I had another woman present. So one of my catechists. Why you're here? Tell us, be honest, why you're here? Grandma. She wants me here. Okay, did you want it to be here? No. Okay, that's it. That's all that we need to hear. You don't want it to be here, we don't need you to be here. But rest assured that we will pray for you, and when you are ready, you can come back. She did come back 1.5 years later on her own grounds. The grandma was mad. She was upset with me. And she even went to the pastor and reported me. You know, and when I talked to the pastor, I said, you do whatever you want, but I don't want her on my class. She doesn't want to be there. It's grandma that wants her there. So yes, you're going to have both streams. You're going to have both sides. I had a guy that he came to the program and he was really excited. I was excited with this guy. You know, he was in the program, and halfway to the program, he stopped coming to class. What happened? I'm calling him, he don't answer. I know he don't answer. I got to find out that he broke up with his girlfriend, who his girlfriend was a Catholic. So he wasn't doing it for him. He was doing it because of the girlfriend being Catholic, and he wanted to be on the good side of her family. But the moment they break up, Jesus break up too. I don't need Jesus anymore. So yeah, you're gonna find those two ways. So people are at different places, different moments. So the idea of how long this works is as long as it needs. We are not called to discipleship only from September to May. We are constantly called by the Holy Spirit. We need to be ready to answer when the call happens. What happens when seekers approach outside our faith formation schedule? If that inconvenience you, inconvenience your process, okay, we tend to get too comfortable with our current R.C.I.A process. You know, R.C.I.A paragraph number 76 says, the duration of the catechumenate will depend on the grace of God and on various circumstances, program of instruction, numbers of catechists, cooperation of the individual, ability to come to the site and spend time, help of the local community. So it's many, many things that takes part of this. And the discernment is very important. We don't do enough discernment on the R.C.I. process. We meet with the people normally one time at the beginning, and that's it. We don't meet with them ever again. You know, the discernment is something that we have to keep doing through the process. It's like a check-in moments in the life of people. How we are doing. How are you? Is this sinking in? It is too overwhelming. It is too much. Should we relax? Should we back up a little? How's your prayer life going? I haven't seen you coming to church. You know, this is part of the process. The process is not just go to class once a week and we don't see you until the following week. This is a change of lifestyle, especially for adults. You know, you are now asking adults that they used to go golfing on Sunday, or used to go to the beach surfing, or used to do other things on Sunday, then now they need to allow at least 1 hour of their Sunday to the Lord. And when you are asking a 40, a 50, a 60, a 80 years old to do that, it's a lifestyle change. Something that they didn't need it before for 40, 30, 50 years. And all of a sudden now you're telling me that I need to start dedicating 1 hour to the Lord every Sunday? That's something new. You know, for us Catholic, there have been Catholics all our life, and our mothers pull us our ears and brought us to church. For us, this is like a brushing our teeth every morning. But when you're dealing with adults, it's not. So you need to be discerning with them, checking with them, how they are doing, what's going on. And it's a process that involves not just your R.C.I.A catechist. It involves your pastor and involves you as a deacon. You know, sometimes the pastors, and you're going to know this when you are becoming a deacon, the pastors kind of step away from the R.C.I.A process. So, deacon, that's yours. No, you need to remind them, Father, these people are becoming your people. These people are becoming your children. They're becoming your parishioners. You need to be part of their process. You need to be with them and walking with them every day of the process. Not just to meet them at the Easter Vigil when you are baptizing them. And what is your name? Michael? Oh, Michael, I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's not the moment that you meet Michael. You meet Michael from the moment he walks into your house and asks you, I want to be part of your family. Okay? You need to keep reminding your priestess, and you deacons too. If you are not involved in your process, then you need to go to your teachers and tell them, I want to be part of this, because this is going to be my people. This is going to be my parishioners. And I need to get to know them too. Okay? When we are discerning, we are looking for signs of conversions. We are seeking how to see how they're growing on their faith, how they had the intention to change their lifestyle, etc., etc. Yes, the R.C.I.A is not a program, but they do have certain things that need to be covered during the program, the process. There are 4 parts. 4 parts are important, and you guys know this. It's like a 4 legs. One is word and tradition, the scriptures, the history of the church, the tradition of the church. Okay, we are based on a church full of what? traditions. Okay. Formation as a Christian community. We need to teach them what it is to be part of a community, living in a community. Okay, we are all a family. Formation in prayer, how to pray, and formation in apostolic life. Apostolic life is outside the church. What do we do in the community? How do we take care of those that are in need? Okay, and how we get involved in the church, in the ministries of the church. So it's 4 pieces that we trying to involve the people through this process. It's a spiritual journey that has 3 parts. The acceptance into the order of catechumens. That's when actually the process begins. The process actually begins on that day that you celebrate the rite of acceptance. That's when the 1-year mark should go. Okay. Then the election and enrollment of names. That's kind of the point where we said, now we are committed. You know, I call this like I told you guys, this is like going to marriage, no? So the rite of acceptance into the order of catechumens is the dating time. We are going out for our first date. And we start going out and getting to learn about what color you like, what food did you eat, did you like to go to the park, or you like to go and do this? We are learning all of that little things until we get to a point that we say, oh, we are in love. I love you. It's time for me to ask you to become serious. And now we are going to commit and we are going to be called fiancé. You are my fiancé. That's the rite of enrollment. We're setting up now the date of the wedding. Okay. And then the sacraments of initiation, now that is what? The wedding day. Okay. That's the wedding day. And that's the day I'm going to say yes to Jesus until death apart. So that's why I like to see the R.C.I.A. as a marriage. Okay. It do have some periods, as you know. We have the periods of evangelization or pre-catechumenate. That is the time that we are kind of inquiring. Do I not? That church over there looks kind of nice. Should I step in? Somebody invite me. Should I go? Should I not go? How many of you have or were invited once to go to another church and you decide to go just to see? No, you? When I was in college, I got a girlfriend. She was Anna said yes. When I was in college, my first girlfriend in college, she was a Baptist. They were Catholics. And she even went to Catholic high school and graduated from Catholic school. But the parents decided to become Baptist. And she knew I was a Catholic. And I told her, I'm not going to change. We are boyfriend and girlfriend, but I am not going to change my religion. And she used to go with me to church, to the cathedral on the town I was. On Sundays, we went together. So one day she invited me to her church. I said, it was fair. If she comes with me to the cathedral, I should go with her. And I told her, don't you play the game, because I know how you guys are. In the middle of the service, your pastor is going to say, is anybody out there ready to accept Jesus? Come forward. I said, don't you play the game. But she did. The pastor came and says, you are ready to accept Jesus, come forward. And she did. I said, are you ready? And I look at her and say, you know that we talk about this. You know that I am Catholic, I am here with you. We are worshiping God, and that's it. When the service was over, we walked to the door, and the pastor shook my girlfriend's hand and told her, next time. That was it. I walked out of that church. I told her, honey, it was a pleasure to meet you and your family, but this is over. She set me up. She set me up. And I says, no, that's not how we play the game. Well, that's the time of evangelization of pre-catechumenate, where people are kind of seeking and looking and waiting. Then the catechumenate is the time now that we enter the journey. And that's when we start introducing Jesus, and we want them to know about Jesus and the Christian life. Then purification and alignment, remember, that's when we are now already fiancé and ready for marriage. So this is the time to be serious. We are now seeking and searching our souls and looking for forgiveness, recognizing that we're sinners and that we need to ask God for forgiveness so that we can be ready to celebrate the sacraments. Remember, these people are not going to celebrate the sacrament of reconciliation because baptism is going to cleanse them. And some people say, that's not fair. 50 years old, you know how many sins that guy is carrying on his back? And he's just going to walk into the water and come to the other side completely clean? And I have to go and sit down with the priest and spill all my sins? How that's fair? That's the way it is. But that's why we take them through this process of enlightenment and purification. That's why they go through the scrutinies. That's what the scrutinies are about. The scrutinies, each of them are about asking and praying for these people to be forgiven and for them to turn themselves into that mindset of, I'm a sinner, I wanted to be forgiven. And then they become Catholics, and then comes the post-baptism catechesis and mystagogy. Question?
Yeah, I had a question on the rite of acceptance. So some people are doing beginning in September. Is there a particular date that rite of acceptance has to be? I mean, so it can be in September, or it could be, I know in our last class, he said, it should be right before the Easter season, because then they get the full Easter and go around another, around the sun one more time, and then they get.
It is not in the R.C.I.A. You look at the right at the book. There's not a moment. It's when you are ready. When you have people ready, at any moment they can have the right acceptance. You can have multiple right acceptance. You see, one of the issues that we have for the people that practice the 9-month program, they normally have the right acceptance when? The weekend before the first Sunday of Advent. For some reason, I don't know why, that's when they celebrate the right acceptance, the weekend before Advent, because then they want to use Advent as all the way until before Lent as a catechumenate period. No, right acceptance you can celebrate as many times as you want. It's just that you have to be aware of that the time frame that you had with those people are enough to cover what you need to cover through the periods. That some people may be accepted and don't get to the rite of elect until a year later. That's how it works. That's how it works.
So you could actually, in your prior examples, where you say somebody comes in and they're ready and it's January, and you go to Father and you say, hey, I want to do rite of acceptance this Sunday with this particular person.
And you can do it.
Okay.
You can do it, yeah. Okay. Dismissal. This is one of those things that not everybody's doing out there, and I need you new deacons to be sure that your parishes are doing dismissal. Maybe you don't know this. The dismissals are optional. The dismissals are not mandatory. However, it is certain level of importance, of certain level of beauty on the dismissal. Because the idea of the dismissal comes from the back of the tradition of the church with our original catechumens. You are not ready yet. So you're not ready yet. Why we wanted to let you partake of the whole celebration. It brings a level of, what is the word I'm looking for? Anticipation. A level of anticipation, that you are preparing to do something special. Okay. So that parishes, they don't do the dismissal at all. And again, it's not mandatory. We cannot force them to do it. But again, we want to heavily encourage that we use dismissals. And the dismissal is an opportunity for what? To get more in touch with the Word of God. That's what the dismissals are about. The people come, they participate of the first 2 parts of the Mass, the introductory rites and the liturgy of the Word, and immediately after the liturgy of the Word, they are dismissed. Dismissed to go and continue looking deeper into what they heard, coming from the scriptures, coming from the homily shared by the deacon or the priest. and getting them prepared to that feast. The one day they will come, the prayer, the dismissal, we look forward for the day that you will come and sit at the table together all as one family. It's that idea of being together. So, like the guy that was in the church all his life, Mary, he knew what Mass was about it, but he went to the dismissal. He did. He knew already what was going to happen after. It was not like a surprise. The lady with the 80 years old, she didn't have to go to the dismissal because she was already baptized. But she chose to go because she wanted to learn more about the scriptures. Okay, so the dismissal is a really important piece of the process that not everybody really have to do it, but it's an optional thing, but highly recommended. Questions so far? We're going to be taking a breakdown moment. Now, the R.C.I.A. is based also on canon law. And you guys all know your canon law. How did your canon law class went the other day? Good. It was good? All right, you guys were all prepared? You told the lady, the Deacon gave me all the information. You don't need to talk to us. Canon law. Canon law is very specific about how things are done in the church. Canon 852, verse 1 says that an adult baptized are to be applied to all those who are no longer infants that have attained the use of reason. And for us again, children aged 7 and above are treated as adults for baptism. So they are to be admitted to the catechumenate and confirmed with baptism. You know how many times I have cited this verse from Canon 852 through email every year before Easter Vigil? Never fail. I get phone calls from priests, deacons, sisters, religious, catechists, but he is a child and the parents don't want him to get confirmed. The parents want us only to give them baptism and first communion and allow them to get to the age of 16 or 14, 15, whatever, go with their peers into the confirmation program and get confirmed there. The answer is what? No. So you can tell those parents that they can come back when that child is 14, 15, and then they can get baptized at that moment, first communion and confirmation. Yes.
I had that this year, and we didn't want to steer them away, so what we did is talk to the lady.
What do you do?
Okay. We talked to the lady who guides the kids through, the high school kids through confirmation. And she said, oh no, go through the whole thing. I promise you, when your kid and their high school class is going to confirmation, I'll totally welcome him. He or she will be free to come and join. They'll already be confirmed, but they can join. They can socially, they can be part of it. And they can even come to the ceremony and they can participate. They'll do a blessing. They just won't get confirmed again. So, and that did it for the parent. It was important for me when I got confirmed that I went with my class. I want my daughter to go through that. And we didn't want to say, don't get baptized. Mm-hmm. In 5 years or whatever, you'll have that. And
that's a good answer. That's a good answer. And we use that all the time. Okay. We try to use that all the time because what's happening with confirmation? What is the mentality? What is the mentality when I got confirmed? Come on, you guys know what's the mentality.
Checklist.
It's a checklist and what? It's graduation, and graduation means that I am what? Done. I am done. So the parents are afraid that their child, because they are confirmed, they're done, and it's nothing more for them. Mm-hmm. And it is up to us and the catechist to reinforce and assure to those parents, no, this child has to come back next year and be with their peers and continue every year going into religious ed, because doesn't mean that Because this child, let's say that this child was actually 8 years old and he was on 3rd grade and he finished and got confirmed, that doesn't mean that that's it. His religious education ended there. No, he comes back next year and goes to 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and continue going on with his peers and learning in his faith. Okay, but there are certain parents that are very strong about it. Oh, my child is not mature enough. Well, the church says that he is. I got a lady that says, well, who is the church to tell me when my child is mature? And I says, well, ma'am, you're right. You are the parents. You are responsible for your child. So all I can tell you is he's not going to receive the rest of the sacraments because it's either all or none. She took him and she left. It's her choice. You cannot give a sacrament to a child unless the parents approve it, until that child's become an adult. But there, conversations needs to happen. I will tell you later another story that happened to me from baptism. 865 says that an adult to be baptized, the person must have manifested intention to receive baptism, have been instructed sufficiently about the truth of the faith and Christian obligations, and had been tested in the Christian life through the catechumenate. The adult is also to be urged to have sorrow for personal sins. Okay. 866 says that unless there is a great reason to the contrary, an adult who is baptized is to be confirmed immediately after baptism and is to participate in the Eucharist celebration also by receiving communion. What is a great reason? That's something that has to be discussed with your pastor and sometimes has to be discussed with the tribunal office. The tribunal office sometimes are the ones that have to determine that circumstances. So I cannot really give you a specific on that one. When is a doubt on the actual baptism? We know what conditional baptisms is, no? 869, if there is a doubt whether a person has been baptized or whether baptism was conferred validly, and the doubt remains after a serious investigation, baptism is to be confirmed conditionally. And only a priest can do this. Deacons, we cannot impart conditional baptisms, okay? Your pastors only can do that. And 869, those baptized in non-Catholic ecclesial communities must not be baptized conditionally, unless after an examination of the matter and the form of the words used in the conferral baptism and consideration of the intentions of the baptized adult and the minister of the baptism and serious reasons exist to doubt the validity of the baptism. So I gave you guys a handout about valid baptism. This handout is actually put together by the LA Archdiocese. I am of the process right now of putting together our own for our own diocese. But this is out of all the different dioceses that we have looked into, they have the best one so far. There are some churches missing here. And when I finish mine and you guys all get the one from our diocese, it will have a longer list than this one. But this is the list that you will use to be sure that you know if a person is coming from another practice, if their baptism is valid or not. And it's very rare that you will have to do a conditional baptism in a person that's coming from another religion, because it's either going to be valid or it's going to not be valid. Okay, period. It's not in between. Okay. All right, let's finish with community involvement and we will take a break so that we can come back and do our exercises. Community involvement is very important in the process of the R.C.I.A. This is, like I said, something that you have to do with the community. You're not doing it only you and your catechist. You have to introduce these people to the entire community so that the people can do a couple of things. One of them is pray for them. get to know them, involve them into the community, welcome them, so they can feel welcome into the community. You can do it by providing regularly updates and letting people know where these candidates are, inviting them to come and participate on the rites. Add them on the prayers of the faithful, not only when they are elect, from the beginning. From the beginning, normally we start listening about these people after the right election, and we start adding them to the prayers of the faithful. Let's pray for our elect. But what happened before that? We don't care about them. We don't pray for them. We need to start praying from the beginning, when they were in choirs, when they are becoming pre-catechumens, when they are catechumens. Community can become sponsors. They can welcome them, nurture them, be examples of work of justice and mercy, and be companions on the journey of faith. I had many times parishioners that come and said, Deacon, can I come to your classes? I want to learn a little more about the Catholic faith. I really don't know much about my own faith. I said, yeah, you're welcome to come in. As long as you sit down and don't distract, okay? Because remember, you are just an observer back there. You are but many of them come and participate actually, and eventually I even put them as a group leaders because they're already Catholics now, and they are there and they can assist and provide good examples of their lives as Catholics. And that's what people want to know. They wanted to hear, be around people they are Catholics. I don't want people to become a Catholic like Modesto. I want people to be Catholics with the rest of the community. Different perspective, different point of views. Okay, so you want to get the people involved with the community. There are 2 R.C.I.A. paragraphs that talks about it. Paragraph number 9 says the entire community must help the candidates and the catechumens throughout the process of initiation. And paragraph number 4 says happens within the community of the faithful. Okay. I think this is a good point to stop. We're going to take a 10 minutes break. So I know it was a 45 minutes or so, a little more than that, kind of review of the R.C.I.A. process. And most of the time, we do a good job. I have to say that even though we running processes out there, they are 9 months, we do a good job on those processes. But then after Easter Vigil, everything ends. That's it. There's no more. How many of you in your parishes that you know, or that you are running the process, have something going on after Easter Vigil? All right, one hand up. Okay. It is important, it's like we make new Catholics, it's like a production line. They went to the baptism font, got baptized, they got the oil, so they are all smooth and running. We feed them with the body of Christ. So you're good, you're super Catholic. Bye-bye. Out the door. Next group. And that's how we do it. I don't know how many of you were really involved with this last group on your parish, but how many of you, it's been how many weekends now? 7 weekends since they got baptized. How many of those that got baptized you have been seeing coming to church for the last 7 Sundays? Very few, because we do such a good job on creating Catholics, but we don't do a good job on keeping them after they got baptized. There are so many people that have come through my hands. I don't say that I am not guilty, I'm guilty too. When I was in Hawaii, so many people that I never saw them again. Sometimes they were good Catholics because I saw them on Christmas and Easter. And they are so naive because they're Catholic. I'm here, how are you? And I just wanted to blur out, says, well, where are you been for the rest of the 64 days? But I just bite my tongue and says, oh, I'm so happy. You're a Christmas one. But you're an Easter one. Good. See you next Easter, next Christmas. No, I never say that. But that's the reality. And one of the reasons, I'm sorry, you have your hand
I was
up.
gonna say, are there programs that are like post RCIA that?
That's what we're gonna talk about. Yes, thank you for asking. It's a program because remember, it's a process. It's called Mystagogy or Mystagoya, whatever way you want to pronounce it. Okay? Mystagogy is a process that, and here, R.C.I.A. paragraph 7 says, extends through the whole Easter season, deepens the Christian experience, time for spiritual growth, and entering more fully into the life and unity of the community. And paragraph 247 says, the Neophyte Mass on all Sundays of the Easter season after Easter Sunday is main setting for this. It was not my last 3 years with the R.C.I.A. process in Hawaii that I instituted something that I should have done before. Another idea. Easter Vigil on Saturday. How many people of your parish actually come to the Easter Vigil? 10%? Very few people? Just the friends of those that are getting baptized? I made every single one of those new Catholics, now Neophytes, to come to Mass on Sunday morning, wear their white garments. I sat them on the first pews of the church and introduced our new Catholics to the rest of the community that wasn't there the night before. It's a way. First of all, I got them to come on Easter Sunday to church, which many of them, after leaving the church at 11 o'clock the night before, they were not planning to come to church the next morning at 9 o'clock. But now, because I asked them, they came. And I got all of them introduced. I said, this is our new Catholics. Please stand, turn around, look at your new family, and everybody clap and welcome them as the new Catholics. And then from there, what did it say? That we should have a special Neophyte Mass for them for the rest of the Easter Sundays. All those 8 Sundays, we should have a Mass for all of them to come together. It's like a routine thing. You start getting them into the routine. Now you got baptized, you got confirmed, first communion. Now you have to come, and at least for 8 consecutive Sundays, they're coming. And they come together not only by themselves. The sponsor has to come with them. Their families has to come with them, especially their children. They cannot drive by themselves, so the parents has to come. Their catechist has to be there to welcome them. Have an area reserved for them. And for 8 Sundays, you have them coming to church. And you call that Mass the Neophyte Mass. Okay? And you can even rotate that Mass. Doesn't have to be the same Mass every Sunday. So that people, the community that only attend certain Masses, get to know them. Get to know them, the new Catholics. So that's one of the things that we should do, at least during the Easter season. And not only that, we're still meeting. If our classes was Wednesday nights, I'm still meeting with them for 8 weeks for Easter season. And you know how I got them to come? Because I don't give the certificates until the last class. You will not get your baptism, your confirmation, and first communion certificate until you attend all 8 classes of Mystagogy. And if you don't attend a class, you have to attend a makeup because you are not getting the certificate. And then what I do is on the last class, we do a party. We invite all the sponsors, we invite all the families, we have a potluck, and then we introduce them and give the certificate. The pastor comes in and give each of them and then get a picture with them. Look, I know, sounds like graduation, but it's a nice moment taking a picture with the pastor, giving them the certificates. Everybody likes that picture with the certificate right there, and the family behind standing, and everybody clap. And we even got gifts for them, and they all were excited to come to those 8 weeks because they knew there was something at the end to celebrate. So that is part of the mystagogy. Now, the national status says that after the completion of their Christian initiation in the sacraments of baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist, the neophytes should begin the period of mystagogy by participating on the Sunday Eucharist in the community throughout the Easter season, which ends Sunday Pentecost. They should do this as a body in company with their sponsors, assisted with the Christian formation. Now, number 23 says that under the moderation of the diocesan bishop, the mystagogy should embrace a deepening understanding of the mysteries of baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist. Number 24 says that after the immediate mystagogy or post-baptism catechesis during the Easter season, the program, I don't like the word, for the neophytes should extend until the anniversary of Christian initiation. Should not end after those 8 weeks. Should go for 1 more year. You know, this is something they actually changed with the diaconate formation, which I'm really, really happy about it. When I got ordained, after ordination, that was it. We all 17 went to our parishes, and once in a while, when it was an Episcopal celebration, we got to bump into each other and talk about what's going on. You know, we were on 7 different islands. Some of us didn't get to see each other for a year or more. But now the new program with the diaconate formation requires a post-diaconate formation for 2 years. Means you have to meet at least once a month. I don't know how Tom is doing it, but at least once a month you guys get together and kind of cry together and share together. You know, oh, Father is treating me so bad. I got to church and guess what? He got a do list longer than my wife had for me at home, you know. But you get to share and you get somebody to talk about what's happening on your new life as a deacon. The same thing we should do with these neophytes. At least once a month, grab and have them to come. Not reality, not everybody's gonna come. But whoever comes, those are the ones that you need to work with, okay? And how's your life as a Catholic is going? How's your life as a Christian is going? What has been your challenge this past month? What has been your rewards this past month? And go on for a whole year. And then the next Easter, have them sponsor the new catechumens. Have them throw a party for them. Will be their anniversary party and a party of welcoming the new Catholics. You know, and they can be the ones giving testimonials and saying, you know, we went through what you guys did. This whole year has been amazing. It's been so challenging, but that's how you keep people. And if you at least keep 50%, that is a win. That is a win. But if you just let them all go on Easter Vigil, the chances that you get to see 5% of them back, that probably will be all that you're going to see. You know? And what about 50 against 5? I would take a 50%. Okay. So a post-baptism process or program for at least a year should be done. I had a pastor that took this idea and implemented with baptisms. Every year, he do an anniversary party for all the children he baptized the year before. He keeps all the names, addresses, and the families of the people that he baptized. And a year later, he called all of them and sent an invitation for a party. And about 50% come back. And it is not to kind of tell them, where have you been? You know, how are you doing? It's so good. You know, how do you hear? How's it? Oh, look at the baby. It's getting so big. Let's get together. Let's break cake. Eat some cake, some punch, but at least the families feel like they're important and the church care for them. Care for them. And the return of those families coming back to church improved immensely on his parish because those families felt that the church cared for them.
We do that at St. Joseph's in Placentia. It's around the baptism of the Lord weekend.
Good, good. And you're getting families coming, is the return
Yeah,
good?
it's great. We have games for the kids and we, Knights of Columbus, provide a light lunch, and so it's always very popular.
Yeah. You know, we complain about people leaving the church, but what we are doing to keep them in the church? Very little. We are doing very little. Okay. Children R.C.I.A, very quickly, the children, as I already mentioned, they are treated as adults, so they do follow the same process as an adult. Yes, the R.C.I.A book has an entire part of it that talks about certain things that you can do for the children. That's a little different than adults. For example, adults has to do 3 scrutinies, children only has to do 1 as a mandatory. Okay. Children, there are certain rights that they can be done separately than from adults, but you know, the reality is the best thing is to do it all together. Because if we are saying that they are treated as adults, let's have them, you only divide them for what? For the classes, definitely. For the rituals and everything else, I prefer to do it together. But if you want to do it separately, there's options for there to do it. Children could take longer than adult. They can take several years for a child. You know, they may not be ready, and that could be a reason why you can work with the parents. You know, if you don't feel that your child's ready, that's fine. It can take a couple of years before your child's ready, so you can work on that. But you need to be sure that they follow all the steps and the liturgical rites as an adult. We can talk about the canon law already in children. And it's okay to have children attend religious education sessions alongside their peers, as long as they do understand that they are not baptized yet, and that they require certain level of instruction about baptism, okay? And that they are not getting prepared for reconciliation. That's one of the things that normally creates certain level of confusion, because then the catechists start teaching them about reconciliation and how to go to the sacrament to receive the sacrament. I actually was in my parish on a Saturday that they were having the retreat for reconciliation for the children, getting ready for reconciliation. I see 2 of my R.C.I.A kids in there. And I had to go to the catechist. What these kids are doing here? They are not receiving the sacrament of reconciliation. They don't need to be here. So I went to the parents and said, I'm so sorry, I apologize for the misunderstanding, but you don't need to be here. You can take your child and leave. Go and enjoy your Saturday someplace else.
So will they receive instruction later?
They should receive instruction later. That's what the mystagogy is for. And what I used to do is that before they are out of my hands, I will set up and read a rite of reconciliation for them with the priest, so that at least I know that they went once before they are out of my hands. But they should not be going, because that creates confusion for them. Then they don't get to understand really what's happening. And then they have to be taken out of those RE sessions and perhaps bring it to a separate class at least once a month or so to talk to them about baptism and confirmation. Because most of the time, these kids are going to be with their peers that are getting prepared for what? For First Communion. So they are not been taught about confirmation, and they are not been taught about baptism. And those kids are going to be receiving those sacraments. So you look at it, it's best to keep them separate in their own R.C.I.A class. But if you are in one of those situations that, well, we don't have enough catechists, we don't have catechists specialized for children, you know, we have to put it with our regular religious education, you can do that, but then you, as the director of the R.C.I.A process, you need to be sure that those kids are receiving that additional education that they need to prepare for the sacrament of baptism and the sacrament of confirmation. Okay? And it's an ideal opportunity also to have a process based on family, when you get the whole family involved. I did that the last year, actually, I was on Hawaii, where we required one parent to attend every class. And yes, it was always the mother. We never got a father to show up, but through the entire year, every mother or every kid was there during the entire class. And we always got activities. When the teacher had activities, they made it in a way that the mother was there at the table doing the activity with their child, and the teacher was just kind of around to answer questions if there's need for it. You know, so it's an opportunity to do some kind of family-based program. Okay, godparents, I'm not going to talk too much about this. You guys know the qualifications are the same ones of baptism. This is canon law. Basically, they have to be Catholics. They have received all their sacraments of initiation. If they're married in the church, that they go to mass regularly. They are not on grave sin. And that they are not their parents. Okay, that's the only thing that they cannot be their parents. They can be a sibling, they can be an uncle, a grandmother, grandfather, but they cannot be the father or the mother or the one to be baptized. All right, let's go to do some real situations now. And again, this is our situation that happened within the last 3 months. First one, I got an email from a deacon telling me, Deacon, someone just asked me that their fiance would like to enroll in R.C.I.A, but his fiance will have to return to military base in Japan from February to May. What's happening between February and May? That is the period of enlightenment and purification. That is the time of the scrutinies. That is the time of the Easter Vigil. Everything happens during those months. She likes to be baptized and initiated when she comes back. Are we allowed to do that on different days than Easter Vigil?
Yes.
All right, who is the deacon that wants to answer that question? Come on, take a shot.
I would say yes.
You would say yes. Any conditions?
I would say she would have to attend those.
This girl when she's gone in Japan?
Well, we certainly gonna do the remote, let's screening interview them instead of in person, maybe in Zoom or something.
Okay, now because of the technology and because of the pandemic, we got, but Japan and California, how many hours of difference?
Deacon
Let's see
Modesto?
who else, what ideas you have.
Hey, Deacon Modesto?
Ah, okay. Okay. Hey, you guys online, you can jump anytime too.
I have a question. I have a
Second
question.
answer we got, maybe
I have a
some plan on the military base.
Mike has a question.
I have a question.
They can help. Mike.
So can we put them in touch with the office of the chaplain for the military? They can go through the process of in the military base?
Yeah. Can you guys hear us?
Pete, mute yourself.
Because
Pete.
one of your classmates just say that.
Okay. Oh, I couldn't hear that. Sorry.
Okay, no, but that's a good answer. Yes, I have done it multiple times. When I was on Hawaii. Hawaii is very heavy on military. We have all branches of military there, and I had that situation multiple times. I had situations where soldiers were sent to Saudi Arabia, went on deployments, went on exercise, what we do now. So that's the first thing that I will do. Let's get connected to the military base where you're going. Let's call the main chapel there and try to get with a Catholic chaplain and see if they do have a process going on in there that person can go and join. Now, can she come back? Let's say that she doesn't want to receive the sacraments over there in Japan. Or not only, before I get to there, not only on the military base, she may find an English-speaking church near the base. And she can also join there. That could be also a possibility. Now, can she come back and be allowed to receive the days later and outside Easter Vigil? What is the answer to that?
Yes.
Yes, she can. The pastor will need to get a special delegation for confirmation purposes, but she can do it in another day when she comes back. Okay? Question.
Would they have to go through the scrutinies and all?
They had to do everything back in Japan, and they had to send us something confirming, the chaplain has to send us something confirming that she did complete all the requirements. Okay, another deacon sent me this email. I had a question about the scrutinies. Are the elect required to attend all three? I have one catechumen who can only come to 2 of the Sundays, and I cannot find where I had previously seen this spelled out. Thank you in advance. All right, those of you that are working with the R.C.I.A. in your parishes right now, what is the deal with the scrutinies? What did the R.C.I.A. says about that? There are 3 scrutinies, but what did the R.C.I.A. says about missing the scrutinies? Can a person miss 1, 2, or all 3 of them? Anybody want to take a shot on that? What is the right answer? Nobody. By the R.C.I.A., a person can miss 1 scrutiny. 1 scrutiny for a specific reasons, like illness. Work could be 1 reason. Emergency travel or something of that nature. But it's not that easy either, or a free ride. There has to be notified to the bishop, and the bishop is the only one that can waive the possibility of you to continue on the process and missing that scrutiny. Now, if I miss an scrutiny on Sunday, because my parish celebrated on Sunday, and I am a nurse, or I'm a firefighter, or I'm a police officer, and I have to work that day, I couldn't get out of work, what can be done for me? The scrutiny can be celebrated throughout the week. So what day are you off? Well, I'm off on Tuesday. Come to Tuesday morning mass, and we will celebrate the scrutiny for you. So it is not that cannot be done. See what the problem is? It becomes an inconvenience for the catechist. Oh, well, I cannot come on Tuesday morning. Oh, sometimes we, the clergy, well, I don't want to do that all over again on Tuesday. It becomes an inconvenience, and that is what the problem is. But yes, you can celebrate the scrutiny. Nothing says that the scrutiny cannot be celebrated in a day outside of Sunday. Or what about the vigil mass on Saturday? Oh, you cannot come tomorrow on Sunday because you're working? Did you work tomorrow at 5 o'clock when we have our vigil mass? Oh, no, I don't work. Oh, but we do it tomorrow for you. You come back tomorrow, you come on Saturday, we do it for you on Saturday. Question.
So, your priest doesn't want to do it. It's now where I'm like, can you call the parish down the street and say, you know, Father Joe, would you be willing to do this for us? I really need this, and get that dispensation.
Guess what? You don't have to do that. Because as a clergy member, as a deacon, you can do it. You can do it with the liturgy of the word. You don't have to do it with the whole mass. So you can do it. All that you require is some members of the community present. Oh, we have class on Wednesday night. Guess what? We will celebrate on Wednesday night for you with the rest of the class. And we will do a liturgy of the word. Read the R.C.I.A. book, and they will tell you what rituals are allowed to do by a priest and a deacon. And some of them, including the scrutinies, can be done by a lay person. The only thing is for the laity to do it, they have to get a permission from the bishop. But you as a deacon or priest don't need a permission from the bishop. Okay? Next situation. Let's see one of the guys online can take care of this one. I had only been here for 3 years, and I only recall participating in one live rite of election. So just to clarify, the rites of election will be performed in the context of a mass, and the elect will be dismissed before the liturgy of the Eucharist? Yes or no? It is our expectation that the sponsors will remain for the rest of the mass. I can imagine some sponsors will prefer to accompany the individuals they are sponsoring. Now, my question first, before we answer this, the rite of election can be celebrated only at mass, or there are other options? What do you say, Mike Betancourt?
I say it's at mass.
You say it is at mass. Okay. Chris, you awake?
Yeah, but I have sleeping kids.
What
The,
answer do you give? You agree with your brother Mike?
I don't know about the right of election. I would guess that, but it's a guess.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
I just have a question on the right of election.
Yes,
Isn't that normally celebrated with the bishop and it's done, it's a big deal and
it's always celebrated with the bishop, yes.
Okay.
Okay, but can be, it has to be celebrated during mass, or can be, the answer to this question, and you guys know answering properly, is telling me that you have, having attended the right of election here.
It's here.
Yeah.
Bishop.
How the right is with the bishop, but it was a mass?
Yes.
No.
No, it was not a mass. It was a liturgy of the word. The rite of election can be celebrated as a rite, as a mass, or as a liturgy of the word.
That's right.
Now, if I do it as a mass, do I have to dismiss the new elect? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do have to dismiss that. I had to dismiss them. That's why we here decide to do it as a liturgy of the word, so that we don't have to dismiss them, because the idea is this is a celebration for them. And we are not going to say we are going to do a celebration for you, and here you go. Welcome, elect, go out the door to be dismissed. Okay. So the rite of election, go back to your R.C.I.A books, can be done on a setting of a mass, or can be done on a setting of a liturgy of the word. Then you celebrate the rite. Now, who gets dismissed? The elect. The sponsors don't have to be dismissed. Actually, the sponsors should stay, because they're Catholics. They need to stay and partake of the rest of the Eucharist. Okay, so the new elect goes out with their catechist to their dismissal. All right. So now you know that it can be done in a rite, in the context of the mass, or in a liturgy of the word.
Deacon, Modesto question.
Yes.
So who decides if it's gonna be, because of what I'm hearing is better if it's liturgy of the word, right? Because they get to stay. So who decides if it's gonna be a mass or just a?
That's decided at the diocesan level, because remember, the bishop is the one that's doing it. Now, can my priest preside at the rite of election under circumstances? They are in emergency circumstances. Yes, we did it during the pandemic. Okay, during the pandemic, the bishop gave delegation to all the priests to celebrate their own rites of election at their own parishes. Now, how your pastors did it, that was up to them. They had the choice to decide, I wanted to do it on a mass, or I wanted to do it as a liturgy of the word. Another reason that we do it here as a rite of liturgy of the word is because we have so many that a mass takes too long and then cannot accommodate. Like we have 3 on a Saturday. So if we have to do masses, it would take too much time for us the logistics are easier if we do as a liturgy of the word. So we get everybody out and get ready for the next group to come in. Okay. So there are many logistics that you have to keep also in mind. Okay. All right. That was situation number 3. Okay. Number 4. So our children R.C.I.A group goes to the 10:30 a.m. mass and would like to have the scrutiny read them. The adult R.C.I.A. group attends the 8:30 a.m. Mass. Are we allowed to have the scrutiny read at both Masses? Please advise. Yes, you can. You can. Remember, I mentioned earlier that the R.C.I.A. provides certain stipulations for rituals for the children.
Yes.
They can be done separately. Even the prayers are different. So if you wanted to, if you're going to do it this way, my guess is that you are using the ritual for the children, and you're using the ritual for the adults, Okay. And not only you can do this, as my example earlier, you can also do 2 adults, depending on if you have people that cannot attend. But you can accommodate them, like having one on the Virgil Mass on Saturday and one. One of my last group, I had a bus driver, and he has to work every Sunday. So his day to come to church was Saturdays. So we have to do all the rituals for him on Saturday. Next one. This is a little longer one. Let's take this by steps. Since we cannot guarantee the decrease of invalidity will come through for catechumens prior to the rite of election, is there an opportunity for catechumens to receive sacraments outside of the Easter Vigil? Well, let's start first there and stop for a moment. In reality, if you have a candidate or a catechumen that's going to go to the process and has to get an annulment, that person should not start the process until the annulment is completed. That's the first answer. Now, I know we all trying to be magicians. We are trying to be pastoral and nice. And we are going to tell them, oh, let's get you in the process. At the same time, we will go ahead and work your annulment. And I promise that will be done before Easter Vigil. Wrong answer. You cannot promise something that you cannot deliver, because it's going to get you into trouble. It's going to get you into trouble. And instead of gaining a new Catholic, you may lose a possible Catholic and maybe an entire family, because they're going to get upset with the church. Okay, that's why we always said you do not welcome anyone to the process unless all their things are in line and correct and annulments are done. But let's say that this one did enter, like it happened. That's what they're asking me, because it happened. They got them into the process. Can the person can we receive the sacraments outside of the Easter Vigil? Well, let's look at what's happening here. I have 2 catechumens. Again, this is a deacon. I have 2 catechumens who are being formed through R.C.I.A. but have yet to submit their nullification form. So they're already catechumens and they haven't even started the process on all that. What a big flag. No. I hardly doubt that they will receive their decrees before the rite of election or even the Easter Vigil now. So they will not be able to receive their sacraments. But once they receive their decrees, will they need to wait an additional year? Or is there another process for getting them baptized? Well, dear Deacon, my answer to you, shame on you. You should have not accepted these people into the catechumenate process until the annulments were completely obtained and finished. Because now you are in a position that you cannot promise something that you don't know is going to happen. Definitely, no one can go to the rite of election if they are pending annulments. Definitely. Okay? You may let them in as a catechumens, and you may let them go to the rite of acceptance, but definitely no, capital N-O, they can go to the rite of election. Because when they go to the rite of election, you are telling the bishop that these people are ready and have no impediments waiting to be resolved before they can be accepted on Easter Vigil. So you are lying to the bishop. They are lying to the bishop. And that's not a way to start as a Catholic. Okay? Question.
What happens if that it does happen?
If that happens, well, then what he's asking here, forgiveness after the fact, can they be accepted later? Well, yes. But then that means that the priest will have to ask for a special delegation to the bishop and explain to the bishop why these people went to the right of election, knowing that the annulments were not. So, you know, I would not like to be on your pants, brother Deacons.
Throw your pastor under the
Oh, pastor, trying to explain to the bishop, I lied to you, sorry, because I thought that they were gonna get through and get ready.
He knows somebody that went through everything, even got there.
I'm sorry, say again?
He knows somebody who was like all this, but then they were confirmed and baptized, and at this, they told him he couldn't have communion.
He's okay now.
That, I didn't wanna know that. So I know somebody, the tribunal worked so hard that got their annulments approved by Saturday morning of Easter Vigil. By Saturday, and that was Bishop and everybody was screaming and were so mad, but because the people wasn't fault. The person that wasn't fault was the pastor, the deacon, and everybody else. They promised something, and the tribunal has to work double time to get them approved. And on Saturday morning, they got a call that says, you can come tonight, your annulment is complete, you can now get baptized this evening. And that is something that you don't want to do to no one. To no one. That's wrong. That's why the norms are there for a reason, to keep you out of trouble. To keep you out of trouble. You know, I had so many calls, you know, after Good Friday, Holy Friday, Wednesday, I disconnect my phone. I disappear. Because that's when everybody with all these issues start coming. But Deacon, what am I gonna tell them? My answer is, I don't know. What are you gonna tell them? You know, I cannot give you an answer to correct your mistake. You have to be brave and stand in front of them and say, I'm sorry, I make a mistake. I promised you something I didn't should have. And this is the reality. Okay? So this is not something that don't happen. This happens every year. Because somebody out there promised something they should not have promised. So I don't want to hear from any of you because you heard it from me. Next year I get your phone call with something like that, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna tell you you're on your own.
No excuse.
No excuse. Situation number 6. This class goes until 9:30, huh? Yeah. You guys actually have to run overtime. I have some questions for you. I had a family. Oh, I put the parish in there. I should not. I had a family here at St. Joseph that had 3 children who were baptized in a non-Catholic church and are looking to enter into full communion with the Catholic Church. The parents say that they were baptized in the First Presbyterian Church located on, and they even had the address. However, they say that they never received a certificate of their baptism, which is normal. Many of these other religions, they don't issue baptism certificates. It's very rare. First, it is considered a valid baptism by the Catholic Church. Everybody look on your list?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the answer is yes. Second, do they need to give proof with a valid document for the baptism? Do they need to give proof for a valid baptism?
Not necessarily a document, but you could get attestation, reliable attestations. You could get other evidence that would support the conclusion that they were properly.
Okay, and what could be some of that other evidence?
Somebody reliable that witnessed it would swear.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a document signed by somebody reliable, who can be reliable? The parents even got the address.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people come and says, I don't even know what that church is. At least they know the name of the church and the address. And the good thing is, you can go to the website, because I'm sure they have a website, and you can look and investigate, even though we know this valid because it's on our list. You can go and check and see, you see pictures of how they do their baptisms. You see a minister pouring water on their heads. You know, I was checking the other day a parish, a church, a Methodist church, and on their website, in big bold letters, it says, I baptize you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. I say, bingo. They do the Trinitarian formula. Great. So you can investigate about Aaron's statement. I heard somebody send pictures. Yes, sometimes pictures can help. Okay. This time on technology, a video can help. So there are many sources that can be used to prove that that person was baptized in a valid way. Okay, so that's the answer for that. So that was an easy one. We have two R.C.I.A candidates for confirmation with the annulment process still going and will likely not be decided on before Pentecost Sunday. Look at the first thing they say. We have two R.C.I.A candidates. Again, for confirmation with the annulment process still going and will likely not be decided upon before Pentecost Sunday. I'm guessing that these are two baptized Catholics that they are seeking confirmation. So basically, they're not really R.C.I.A candidates. There are two baptized Catholics seeking confirmation, okay? And that they need to go through the annulment process. Question, may Father X requesting a special delegation in the coming weeks for these individuals candidates to receive the sacrament of confirmation once their lack of form application are decided upon. I wanted to clarify what we can tell these two candidates so they are not discouraged, but at the same time not unintentionally mislead them as far as potential timing should they get a positive result from the tribunal. So when is Pentecost Sunday? It's about 4 days from today, no? 5 days. I got this email today at 3 o'clock. That this is, you look on your handouts, this is not your handout.
Yeah.
Because I got this after I print all your handouts. So just to show you what's happening before big events. Pentecost is coming, and all our priests have been delegated by Bishop Ben to confirm without a special delegations this Sunday. So now I'm getting these kind of emails. What about these two? They're not going to make it because their annulment is not going to be ready by Pentecost. So what is the answer?
No, they can ask for a special delegation later.
They had to ask for a special delegation at a later time. But the answer to number two is even no, you cannot ask for a delegation right now. You have to wait until it's done, because when you submit a request for delegation to Bishop, your request is very specific. It has to specify the date you're going to celebrate the sacrament, the name of the people, at what mass, at what time, and the location. So it's not a open blanket. Can I get a delegation for when these people, if they get their annulment, then I can confirm that. Because Bishop's going to laugh and says, no way, no. It has to be very specific, very specific. So yes, Father XX can ask for a delegation when the time comes. Questions? We have two more situations. I got one to share with you guys, and we have a member of your group that want to share one. Very sensitive, very delicate. I had today, and probably it's one of your families, so don't say anything. It's one of your families, or your parish. I got a call from a priest today a family had a daughter that was going to be confirmed. The daughter apparently got into an accident or something happened that she's right now brain dead in the hospital. This kid completed all the confirmation process and classes, and the parents want this kid to be confirmed. What is the answer?
Well, if she's truly brain dead, the answer is a nullity.
I think it has to be called on the process, you only attend all that, so.
But if we're brain dead.
But you have to say.
Yeah.
You got that.
Okay. So we got a no and we got a yes. Anybody else got a maybe?
Okay, special dispensation for that. It depends.
Maybe.
It depends.
The reality is a very sensitive issue because now who we are trying to please? And we are trying to please the parents that they're thinking if their daughter doesn't get confirmed, she may not go to heaven.
Yeah.
Or we are trying to please a body that in reality sounds harsh, but in reality is not there anymore. If you anoint that person with the chrism, asking the Holy Spirit to come upon that body is not going to make a difference. But you cannot say those words. I say those words to you here, future deacon candidates and deacons, future deacon wives, but you cannot say that to the family. You have to come out with a pastoral way to explain to them. The answer is no. You do not celebrate the sacrament. The sacraments are for the living. And even though her body is still there, she's mentally gone. Her brain is gone. She's already been baptized. And through her baptism, she did receive the Holy Spirit. Okay? So she had the Holy Spirit with her since the day she was baptized. That is what we have to, in a pastoral, loving way, explain to the parents. She already had received this anointing of the saint. So her body's been anointed already, which she can receive. Okay. But confirmation, no. Can the bishop say, do it? Maybe, but it would be to please the parents. It would not be liturgically or theologically correct. Okay. So those are real situations, real life situations. That just happened today. I got a phone call just today. And you will experience things like that. Okay, you have to be ready for that. Okay, what is your situation?
Right, so I was approached at lunch 2 weeks ago. In R.C.I.A, I was a sponsor and a godparent for a young woman, and she's married, and her husband's daughter is Catholic, and she is married to what she described as an atheist. And they were never going to have children, and they did have a son. And they decided to go ahead and have the baby baptized to please my friend's husband, which is the grandfather. So they went to not their parent, not the they're not practicing. She does not practice. The new mother does not practice her faith. And obviously the atheist husband practices no faith. So they found a church in the diocese, went and talked to a pastor.
Is this a Catholic church?
It is a Catholic church.
Okay.
Yep. Went and had a conversation, I guess. Again, I'm getting some secondhand information here, but it was, she went and said, I want to have the baby, I'll have the baby baptized, so my father will sleep better. I'm not going to, my husband and I aren't even going to go to the baptism. And we're not planning to raise the child. We're not gonna have anything to do with raising the child we're not having anything to do with it, but we want to have the baby baptized because I want my dad to sleep better. So
They were going surfing.
they were going surfing that day. Now, I don't know. The baby was baptized Saturday. So the priest did it. I haven't talked to her yet. We've been playing phone tag. There was hope that maybe the parents would reconsider, but even if they went, it was her understanding that they were still never gonna be a part at this point. At the time of the baptism where they're asked, will you? They were not going to.
Who are the godparents?
The godparent, well, the godparent wasn't gonna be able to be there. One of the godparents wasn't gonna be able to attend, so they were going to have a Jewish person stand in for them. So let me just.
But the godparents must
I
have to be
think they're going
Catholics
to be
fully.
Catholic, I think, I don't
Parents are
even,
Catholic.
at this point.
The daughter who believes Catholic, but she wasn't a practicing Catholic.
Yeah, so she's not a practicing.
Mm,
So that's my scenario. So
And
what I learned about my own upcoming potential deacon wife was I have to learn that my face speaks things that I shouldn't. So that was great feedback. She was like, well, your face is speaking volumes. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to respond to this. At least I'm close to her, and she was as torn, oh, what was my response? So anyway, there's your scenario.
So what are you seeking from us?
I'm just floored. It's one of those, oh my goodness, what is this future deacons if she came to you as the mother came to you, I'd like to have my child baptized and this is my scenario and I'm not going to be there and I'm not going to raise this child Catholic. What would you do? What would you say? That's my question.
Okay. What's just before we get some answers, what is curious about the situation is that the parents or the mother of the child, even though was honest that she wasn't gonna raise the child Catholic, she's the one that came to the church to ask for baptism. Because okay, well, we are guessing that was the case. Because most of the times, the situation would be that is the grandparents.
Yes.
That they are gonna come and tell you, I want my grandchild baptized and my children are not doing anything, but I want to baptize. So you, father, need to baptize my grandson or my granddaughter. Okay? Comments?
Well, I guess at our parish, one of the requirements is to go to a baptismal workshop. And so I'm assuming these two surfers probably didn't sign up for that. So our pastor has the policy of being very open, trying to work with people to figure out how to make it work. But at the end of the day, they have to the parents are going to be making promises, but they didn't even attend the baptism. So the only way I could see it work is if they had those godparents sign up to do the whole job, like to raise them as Catholics. That's the only way I could see that you would be putting their souls at risk because you're giving them this privilege of being baptized, but you're also signing up to this failure as a Catholic and probably not following through on all their commitments as a Catholic.
It's interesting what your comment is because without judging the pastor, they decide to go with the baptism. The ritual is very specific about how the parents are questioned. And it's funny because last week, Wednesday, I was doing a baptism prayer and I was going over and kind of pointing on this 3 times to the parents, you will be asked, do you understand what you're undertaking? And one more time, after you do the renunciation of faith and the creed, the pastor or the deacon is going to ask you one more time, is baptism what you want for your child? So you are asked and double asked. So there were no parents in there to be asked. And it is not because the child didn't have parents, because the child do have parents. So what was the mentality behind the reasoning behind the pastor without judging? I guess My only guess is he did it for the benefit of the child. But still, the right is very clear of what is being asked, and what you're saying is having a lot of hope that the godparents are gonna come forward and step in and take over and charge, but how much of that is gonna happen, I don't know. Yes.
We had Deacon shares similar, I guess not a similar, but a same-sex marriage where they brought the child and baptized, and he baptized the child, and he had made note that we're baptizing the child.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his justification for.
Yeah, we had multiple situations like that. Actually, this past year I have two, and it's a different way in which we treat those. Because they still had one of them, hopefully is the biological parent, is coming forward to baptize the child. And again, we don't take against the child the sins of the parents. And if the parents are Catholics and they're bringing the kids to be baptized, the hope is that they are going to be continue raising them on the faith, even though they are not practice the values. But and that the godparents definitely has to be practicing Catholics under the right faith. So that's a little different in there. In this case, it's completely the absence of and desire of to do anything for that child, to help that child to be raised in the faith. So, who knows? This grandparent is going to die. This child is going to grow up, and who's going to tell this kid that he was baptized one day Catholic? Because the parents were not even care about it. So, anybody else has a comment on this? Yes.
I think the chances are, once the kid is baptized, that the grandparents gonna adopt the child on some point because they're gonna be taking care of him his faith.
Hopefully, that would be if the parents wanted to release that responsibility. So again, my guess is that the pastor did it. If I would have been the pastor, my answer would have been no. We will wait until the child raised to an age that he will be able to make that decision by himself. Or between then and now, the parents change their way of living, and maybe it becomes an evangelization process for the whole family. I know that because, again, we are doing this because we don't want the grandfather to die without knowing that his grandchild was baptized. But again, whatever the pastor's reason was, let's hope that is for the benefit of the kid and that something will happen. But all these situations I share with you today, the two last situations that we just had presented to you, they are real issues. This is not things that we make up on a book for a class. Okay, this is our real issues that you as deacons, future deacons, and you deacon wives, future deacon wives, are going to experience, because people in your congregation are going to come to you, and most so you ladies, because they're going to feel more comfortable with you. They're going to come to you and says, can you talk to your husband? Can you help me? From a friend to a friend. Remember my friend earlier? From a friend to a friend, can you go and talk to Deacon Juan or to Deacon Jim or Deacon Peter and get this done for me? And then you wives has to do like my wife said, I take you to the deacon and you can talk to him personally. It's so funny because my wife said it that way. She said, I take you to the deacon. She didn't even say, I take you to my husband. She said, I take you to the deacon and you can personally talk to him and share your situation. And then she walks away and she says, I wash my hands. It's now your teacher, because they're going to try to bypass, and it's the church, it's the church, but still like any other business, people are going to try to come and trying to get something that was $10 for $5. And if they could, can I get it for free? No, it's $10, and that's not gonna change. Any other questions? Anything that we covered tonight, or any other?
So you mentioned that the grandparent bring their grandchild want to be baptized, so in that situation, you have to say no because.
Yes, yeah, I always tell grandma, grandpa, normally it's the grandmothers. I say, grandma, I know that you love your grandchild, but we need to get your child to bring their own child to church. So you go home, talk to your child, and sometimes I have seen the grandmother coming back with the daughter. I don't know what happened at home. I really don't even want to know, to be on the safe side. Let you know the best, but they come and they go through the process, they take the classes, they baptize their children, and I just hope the grandma, like it was said, takes care and help this child be raised in the church, but it has to be, especially in cases where you have to remember these are minors and you cannot do nothing because they can sue the church. The parents can come and say, I didn't give permission to my mother or to you to do this. I hope that, and I'm sure that the church got the parents, even though they didn't agree with, to sign all the documents requesting the baptism. Because if not, they can put themselves in a situation that the parents can come back and says, I want to get some money from this church. They baptized my child when I didn't want my child to be baptized. And then sue the church. So you have to be really careful. You have to be sure. And all that it takes is one parent. That's all it takes. Doesn't have to be both parents that agree on baptizing the child. As long as you have one parent they want to baptize that child, that's legally you're covered. Your church is covered. Okay? My friends online, any questions? Are you guys all okay? Wake up. You good? Mike, you good? Put water on those eyes.
I'm good.
All right, good. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Well, I think that I'm not going to see you again until probably we get ready to talk about ordination. So I wish you all the best and the rest of you got left. You know where I am, where to find me. Don't send me these kinds of emails. I know your names. And I always say, remember my class? Go back and review your papers. Gracious God, we want to give you thanks for this opportunity this evening as we gather together. We wanted to thank you for all the nice conversation that we had on the R.C.I.A. And I want to ask you, especially for this man, that you bring the Holy Spirit over them to give them the strength they need on these few months left in their formation, so that they can prepare themselves and be ready to serve your people with open hearts, with open minds, and with open arms. And I also ask for their wives, Lord, that you give them the courage, that give them the strength, and the patience that they're going to need as their husbands embark on this journey together with them. And we ask you to, if it's your will, that they all come to that day in which they will kneel in front of you and say, yes, Lord, here I am. So together, as we are pending the coming again of the Holy Spirit on Pentecost, let us say, glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.